The rest of the 30 minutes, I will do a presentation about the Taiwan semiconductor industry which is a very important industry right now in Taiwan. It has been developed for the last 50 years, starting middle of 1970. Okay, so I'm not going to go for page by page of this slide. I first give you some background. So since 1945, after World War II, okay, and Taiwan go back to belong to China. Okay, it used to be the Japanese colonial period. Okay, and the nationalist government moved to Taiwan actually in 1949. So for 50 years, we have experienced many different development stages in economy. Okay, in the early period, we call it import substitution period. The mainly is we lack of resources. So we try to produce the product that we need for our country in early 1950. But after a few years, when the society becomes economy and the society becomes stable, we find out we need the economic development. So then we starting to promote the concept called the exporting country. We try to produce the goods and export to the Western country, including United States, Europe, and many other countries. Okay? And again, after 1960, we find out that Taiwan also need to transform in the economy into a much more advanced. So we have a major construction. Many of you know in your high school, you learned about it in the late 1970. We try to complete so-called the 10 major construction, such as the airport in Taoyuan, such as a nuclear power plant, and such as the major company produce the steel, that's China Steel, and the China Ship Manufacturing, Zhongchuan, Zhonggang, and also we made original, probably you never experienced original in Taiwan, all the railroad is running by gas or the fuel. And now we become electric power engine, okay? 铁路电气化, that's how it make, okay? So we also have a new harbor in Taichung, Suao, those kind of things. After major construction, 10 major construction, we try to get into the heavy industry, such as the chemical industry, steel industry, those kind of things. But compared with other economy, it doesn't make much difference compared with other economies. So at the time, in 1970, middle of 1970, we try to look for some industry have our own characteristic compared with others. So before that time, right after World War II, the most popular technology is called the transistor. Okay, the transistor later developed is called a semiconductor. So in the early morning of one day in 1977, okay, a group of government leaders, I talk about the 7 people, including the KT and the executive yuan, the Sui Yunquan together. They have a breakfast in a very, very small breakfast restaurant called the 小星星豆浆店. Okay? They sit there, 7 people together, and decide Taiwan going to develop semiconductor industry. So, if you are the government officer, you are trying to lead the Taiwan to a new industry, what do you have to do? What things you need to make this strategy come true? The first things, you need a very, very good government policy to support this new industry. Okay? So the government provides not only the money, but also the policy, give a tax incentive, and also looking for the people to support this industry. So the first thing is the government policy. Any of the countries around the world today try to develop semiconductor industry, they always need government policy. Like in United States today, in Japan, in Germany, even in Korea, okay? Those countries, when they develop the semiconductor industry, they do provide a tax incentive and also government subsidy to make sure that the semiconductor industry can be developed, okay? So that's the first thing you have to do, government policy to make this come true. But that's not enough. Also, we need the people to have a good education. So, since 1970, okay, our education system have a two separate track. One is a regular university like us, okay? We have a regular university here to train the people, especially in the College of Engineers. They train those potential engineer specialists in the semiconductor industry. They even send the student go to other countries to get a master or PhD and then come back to Taiwan in 1980, and so they can help the Taiwan to develop the production process in the semiconductor industry, which we call the foundry. Later, I will talk about what's the difference on the foundry. Okay, and also we need the people. Those graduate from the university, they are not the people on the production line to produce chips. We need some people able to go to the production line to produce the chips. So there's another track of the university. It's called the Science Technology University, like the one nearby, National University of Science Technology. Those track of the student give very on-site training how to produce the semiconductor. So we have a group of the students being seriously trained and become very special in Taiwan to go to the high-tech industry to manufacture the chips. So the second thing in here, we have used a very successful education system in the last 40 years. Because of those people, we have people to develop a new IC product, and we do have people go to the production line to produce good quality of the product. So the yield, 良率 of the semiconductor industry in Taiwan is the best around the world right now. Okay? Other than that, okay, we have a government policy, we also have an education system, but still not enough. Because in 1960, okay, and the 70s, we don't have much knowledge how to produce semiconductor. Okay, we don't have that technology. We have nothing. So we're looking for the help from the Western country. So we signed an agreement with RCA. Okay, also we signed a similar agreement with the Texas Instrument. Okay, we did these things, try to get the knowledge of how to produce the transistor. Okay, and then we're gradually starting to do that. Okay, now, so that's the second thing is we need to get the technology. Okay, we do get help because at that time, Taiwan definitely is not a threat for those industries they want to learn. So many of the companies, they do send their VP and engineering come to Taiwan to help Taiwan to get some technology, how to produce the transistor. Well, other than that, we have to finish three things: government policy, education, and the technology that we need. The last things we need is money. Where is money coming from? Because as you know, you set up the manufacturer side to produce the chips. It's very expensive. Today, if you want to set up the manufacturer side for produce, it's called the foundry. And that foundry could cost $50 billion for most advanced technology. And well, 40 years ago, you still need probably 20-30 million $. At that time, that's a big amount of money. We don't have that kind of money. Okay? Even our government leader, led President Jiang Jingguo, looking for the possibility of some of the financial support, he even asked all the government officials have to buy some of the stocks from this new company TSMC. Just like my family, my father was asked to contribute $300,000 to buy their stocks. But that's still not enough, not even over 1% of the money coming from the government official or coming from the government funds, not enough, okay? We go for to ask Wang Yongqing to support, okay? Yes, he support, but once the TSMC was on the market, on the stock listed market, he sold all the shares to the market. Wang Yongqing doesn't understand what's the semiconductor industry. So in Taiwan Plastic, at the beginning, they never touched any of the manufacture of the chips. Okay. So later, the major funding is 65% of money coming from where? Coming from Philips, the company from Europe. Okay. Even today, Philips is still the biggest owner of the Taiwan semiconductor industry. Okay, so if you say, well, TSMC as a local company, actually no. Right now, more than 75% the stock share was owned by foreigner, not by our government or the local shareholder. Okay, so TSMC is a purely an international company. Okay, now. After this introduction, there's several things that I would like to mention. Okay? Of course, many of you know TSMC was established in 1987. Okay, that's the major semiconductor manufacturing company right now. But there's an argument how we set up the new model. Later, I will introduce the new model in this semiconductor industry. Actually, in 1987, our government official go to the United States to invite Morris to come back to Taiwan to become the ITRI General Director. Okay, 就是工研院 the director. And then they come out to start the TSMC. But before that, actually the first semiconductor foundry was established, not the TSMC, it is UMC, 联电, okay, by Mr. Chao Xingcheng, okay. So there's an argument, many of you probably read the story, there's an argument who is the one developed the new business model for Taiwan for semiconductor industry. Many people think it is Morris, but some people say no, actually the first one did this model is Chao Xingcheng. So there's an argument. I'm not going to involve that argument who is the leader because everybody knows right now Morris is more successful and Chao Xingcheng has become a crazy people keep talking about the battle between the Taiwan and China. Okay, so let's forget about it. So 1987, okay, the company established, okay, and at the around the 1994, I don't remember exactly the year, he became listed on the Taiwan Stock Exchange. Okay? At the beginning of course, every share roughly around $10 per share, 1994. Okay? So till the year 2008, before the financial tsunami, the TSMC market price is around $37. Okay? So probably today you can check with your website. Right now the price per share is over $1,000. Okay? Despite that they still pay the cash dividend almost every year. So that's a very good investment, okay, for the last 20 years if you put your money in the TSMC. Okay. Now, why TSMC can make profit? How he survive or compete with other chips manufacturer? Because original semiconductor industry, the biggest one, of course, is called Intel. Okay, the founder of the Intel is create a law called the Moore's law, Moore 定律. That means the size of the chips for the density is going to be double in the intensity. Okay? So it means the technology will change in every 18 months. Okay? So a few years ago, they think about this train, Moore's law going to stop because the chips become so small. But there's a new technology developed by TSMC called the COSMOS, C-O-S-W-O-S, COSMOS. It's called the 叠状 manufacture, okay? And then that will make the Moore's law continue to grow for the next 5 to 10 years. Nobody knows how small going to be in the future, okay? But it has the limit, okay? So some people say in the future, quantum computing will replace what we have today. But so far, it has not been commercialized. For the next 5 to 10 years, still will be the traditional way to manufacture chips. Okay, now, let me introduce the model, okay, Moore's law, the foundry model, okay. Intel started the business. It's called a vertical integration. Basically, I made a small introduction. At the beginning, you need someone to do the IC design. Okay, so Intel do the IC design for the different purpose. Maybe for cell phone, maybe for television, maybe for the car. They do the IC design. Then they have an IC design, they manufacture those IC design. Then they sell, they marketing the product they design, they manufacture, then to the customer. So it's like a vertical integration. But the TSMC and the UMC in Taiwan say, no, we don't do IC design. We don't marketing. We take out that manufacturer. We will be the one to have an IC design company to manufacture the best, the lowest of the cost. The chips is called the foundry. So all the company do IC design. It doesn't matter if you are Intel or somebody else. Intel is regular IC design. The other company with IC design house, they don't manufacture. So they call themselves a fabulous IC design house. So fabulous IC design house doesn't have a manufacturer. They design IC, they talk with UMC and the TSMC say, can you produce this IC design for us? So they serve. So after those manufacture, TSMC and UMC will put back the product back to IC design house. And the IC design house was starting to sell their chips to any of the industry, such as car, automobile industry, or cell phone industry, or whatever. So especially Intel was not interested on that kind of business model at the beginning. The change of the Intel loss is a competitive advantage in the late 2007 is because when the smartphone come out, Intel doesn't want to produce any of the chips for smartphone. They say that's a small market, but that's not the case. Let me do a survey right now. How many of you, raise your hand, how many of you using Apple telephone? Raise your hand. Apple telephone. Okay? So how many of you use the smartphone which is Android system? Android system. Much smaller amount of people. I have to tell you, I definitely tell you, if you use Apple, all the chips in your cell phone was manufactured by TSMC. Okay? TSMC right now in the advanced chips, they have a market share more than 91%, which means not only the cell phone, but also the national defense weapon, okay, like the missile, okay, using the TSMC chips for its precision and accuracy. Okay, you know, in Ukraine and Russia war, they fight each other for the androids, for whatever the weapon system they use. They need a TSMC. Otherwise, they're not even able to fight each other using the technology weapon. Same thing in Gaza, that Israel that tried to defeat the Palestinian. Okay, even the case recently that there's a war between between the India and the Pakistan. When the India fighter jet tried to take off from the airport, and less than 20 kilometers when they left the ground, and the Pakistan used the missile shut down their airplane. All the system is using the chips control. Okay? So sometimes say, oh, we don't need a TSMC to produce chip, then there will be no technology war. People have to fight hand by hand. So many of you heard about or watched the movie that by what's that? 那个演那个叫 Mission Impossible 那个男主角叫什么 ？Tom Cruise. Remember that movie? They talk about Top Gun. Okay, they have a fighter jet, which we call the dogfight. Dogfight 就是两边的 two sides of the fighter, they fight each other in the airbag. In the future, there's no such things because you haven't seen the other side of the airplane or their fighter jet. The missile already launched and tried to shut you down. Same thing for the tank. In the past, the ground fighting, we think about the ground fighting as the tank fighting each other, right? No, no more. In the future, you don't need to see the other side of the tank because on the satellite you will see all the location of the tank and you send out the missile and destroy the other side's tank. So the war is totally different. So even we're talking about the war between China and Taiwan, if that is going to happen in the future. China sent 6,000 missiles aiming to Taiwan, and Taiwan also has 3,000 missiles aiming to China. So at the beginning of stage, both sides will send a missile to each other, but after all the missiles sent out, the TSMC will be destroyed. Also, I think United States will bomb our TSMC manufacturer. Okay, if that happens, no more chips, so nobody can buy the missile anyway. Okay, because 91% of the advanced chips was manufactured in Taiwan. Okay, and the total chips market share from Taiwan is more than 60% was manufactured in Taiwan. Okay, so I give you this information as you can see for the next, as long as there's no war, for the next 3 to 5 years, chips manufactured in Taiwan still going to be leading the around the world. It's called, we sell as a foundry. Foundry is called 晶圆代工，晶圆代工厂. Okay, so we have this business model. So this is the case. I would like to present to you so let you understand that's our development. It doesn't take very short period of time. Okay, it started in 1970 all the way till now, 2025, roughly around the 40 or 50 years, 45, 50 years to make this accomplished. Any of the country try to do the same thing, it's almost impossible because they have to do those 4 things: government policy, education, technology, and also the money. Okay? Probably some of you say, okay, United States give the pressure to Taiwan government to force TSMC go to Phoenix, Arizona. Okay? We try to build 3 TSMC manufacturing plant over there. But the cost of producing chips in Arizona is about 3 times more expensive to produce the same chips in Taiwan. There's a lot of reasons. One of the major reasons is the business culture. in the United States is very different compared with ours. Okay? So, you know, if you go to work in Taiwan TSMC, you work 3 full days every day for 12 hours, and they take a 2 days break, and you go on. But this will not happen in the United States because that's against their labor regulation. Okay? So similar things cannot be exactly duplicated in the United States. Well, you heard about the Shonben in Japan. They already set up the plan for TSMC. They already started to produce. They can do things, but still the cost is more expensive. The next plant going to produce is going to be in Germany. I think the place is Luxembourg. Okay, somewhere. Well, somewhere I never been there. I've been in Germany, but I've never been to that place. Okay, so it's a rural area. They're going to do that. But one of the problems for Germany to produce chips is because when you produce chips, first you need a big amount of electricity. Second, you need the water. Third, you need the resources. And in Germany, that's the problem because Germany doesn't have nuclear power plant. And a high percentage of their electricity was imported from France. Okay, that's another difficulty in the future for Germany to produce chips. Okay, so there's a many story in here. So I have to tell you, as a student right now in Taiwan, you should understand how we develop the chip business in the last 50 years. It's not easy. And also that the process is not always successful. We face some challenges, especially challenges from United States, Japan, or Korea. But right now we are leading manufacturer in the foundry, but not in the random access memory. That will be in Korea. So we have a different specialty in compared with Korea. Okay. So in the future, those manufacturers, this kind of called the new business model, is going to be controlled by 4 major companies. One TSMC, one Intel. Intel still will come back. Okay. One Samsung in Korea. The other one will be a new company going to establish in Japan, in Hokkaido, Beihai-dao. Okay, Hokkaido is called the Rapidus. Okay, those will be an oligopoly market. But an IC design house going to be everywhere. It will be in Silicon Valley, it will be in Taiwan, it will be in China, it will be in Korea, Japan, Germany. Even this time I go to Poland, I give the lecture, I say, if you want to participate in this development of the semiconductor industry for Poland, Polish people should think about to start IC design house first. So they can generate the type of the IC they want, but the manufactured by this major company in the oligopoly company. So that's going to be the new development in the future. So I spend the half hours to give an idea, okay, how the semiconductor industry was developed in Taiwan and what's going to be the future. Yes, in the future, Taiwan semiconductor industry will face more challenge. But fortunately, I think we still have the leading advantage for a few years. Okay? For example, we're going to have a new manufacturing plant, not a foundry, but it's an equipment manufacturer site in Jiayi, near Gaotie, in the HSR station in Jiayi station. Okay? So they're going to start to produce those equipment starting from October. Okay? So many people say the housing price going to rise again in Jiayi. Okay? So the development of IC industry, especially as a foundry in Taiwan, is very important. And we hope that this development will be a major factor to be considered from both sides of Taiwan Strait and the United States. So that because of it's so important, if Taiwan was in war, okay, around the world, all that technology industry will be delayed for another 10 to 15 years. Okay? So I hope this shorter presentation will give you some idea about the development. All this story you can find in a publisher called 天下远见文化图书公司，天下文化图书公司。It's by 张忠谋自传 and also 黄仁勋 and also there's other article you can borrow from the library to read it. Okay, so try to understand the semiconductor industry is something you need to know. For the job you're going to take in the future, it's very possible your business, it doesn't matter you are in the financial industry or many other industry, probably 80 to 90% your job will be related with this high-tech industry. Okay, so good luck. This is going to be my last class, teach in the spring. Because in next 2 semesters I'm going to teach will be 4th semester of this year and the 4th semester of the next year. In the spring semester I will be on leave, which is I have a sabbatical. So good luck and hope to have a good experience in the future. And that will be done for today's class. And if you have any question, you can come forward to talk with me. Bye-bye.